Well, a couple of things that have come up since we left Terry's Ranch, so I'll answer those questions. Uh, that lower Enterprise Reservoir, uh, Orson Huntsman said it would be a mile long and a half a mile wide, and an average depth of 55 feet, and that's about what it is, a mile long and a half mile wide on that lower reservoir. And of course that's Shoals Creek that runs down that canyon. Also in his letter that he wrote, Orson talked about how much it would cost to build the dam and the canal. He estimated it'd be $18,720.40 to build the dam, and $12,130.40 to build the canal. So he was talking about $31,000. He had it out to 80 cents. And they pretty much did that because there was so much donated labor that went into that. And in 1872, Erastus Snow had been in Hebron, and he said, "I see the day when in south of here, or north of here, in the dry Escalante Desert, there will be fields of grain and hay." Well, that's what happened with the Enterprise Reservoir and with the groundwater that has developed there. Okay, this is the little village of Pine Valley. This valley was discovered by Isaac Riddle in 1855. He and William Hamlin, William was a brother to Jacob. They were tending a herd of cattle, and they had a cow that was missing. Isaac came looking for it and discovered this valley. And those of you who have been on up this road, or even the road that to the west of us that goes south up into that canyon, know that there's some really good pine forests here. And that was recognized very early, besides being able to pasture cattle here. So lumbering became one of the important businesses. By 1863, there were 3 lumber mills in Pine Valley. Eventually there were 7. And one of the claims to fame for Pine Valley is the wood for the Mormon Tabernacle organ came from Pine Valley. Robert Gardner and his son William selected the best lumber. They loaded it on their wagon. They personally hauled it to Salt Lake, 300 miles from here, and that lumber is what constitutes the pipes on the tabernacle organ. The lumber from here was also used in building the St. George Tabernacle. Much of the lumber that went into the St. George Temple came from Pine Valley. Of course, some of that came from Mount Trumbull. A lot of the shingles and lumber for the early communities in Washington County came from Pine Valley. By 1867, this community had grown to the point that they wanted a chapel. They didn't have one, and they requested one through Erastus Snow. Erastus Snow and he was one of the 12 apostles, and his brother William petitioned Brigham Young, and Brigham Young agreed that they could build a chapel here. So they authorized Ebenezer Bryce to come up with a plan and to supervise the construction of a chapel. Ebenezer Bryce had been converted in Scotland, was an immigrant to America. He said, I was a shipbuilder in Scotland. I know how to build a ship. I don't know how to build a chapel. But he had seen New England chapels, and if you look at the building, It's very similar to a lot of New England chapels as you look at it from the outside. And it's 54 feet from the ground up to the pinnacle of the roof, so it's fairly high. In 1867, he finished the plans and had them approved, and then he supervised local people from Pine Valley in the construction of this building. It was finished in 1868. This building is the longest continuous Latter-day Saint used chapel in the church. Now it has some changes that have been made. In 1960 they wired it for electricity. They also put in 2 restrooms under the stairs here in the front. In 2000, they began a major restoration. They took off the roof, re-roofed it. They took off the siding, put new siding on it, took out the windows and put new windows. The chapel is essentially what it was in 1868 when the very first meeting was held there. By the way, it was rededicated in May of 2005 by Elder Holland. But it has been in continuous use. The sacrament table is the original sacrament table. The chandeliers are the original Saint chandeliers. The pews are the original pews. The attic no longer is used. They've closed that off for safety purposes. They're fearful that maybe it's not sturdy enough to hold up people. They used to call it the prayer room. And they used to take people up there because it resembles the inside of an upside down ship. Ebenezer Bryce said, if a flood comes and washes this chapel off its lime and concrete foundation, it will float. If a wind comes and blows it off its foundation, it'll roll over. It hasn't blown over and it hasn't been washed away by a flood, but it's the longest continuous use chapel in the church. There's one other thing that's unique about it. Most of you know that in chapels throughout the church, they've taken out all of the artwork inside the chapels. We had in our chapel, the Rock Church in Cedar, we had 2 large paintings of Christ back at the podium. This is the exception. This chapel still has the original artwork that's in the chapel. I guess we won't get to see it, will we, David? Oh, are they? Well, some of you haven't been in, and that would be a great thing if you could get inside.
He said he'd post haste trying to figure it out, so.
Well, okay.
There's one more chapel that I know of that didn't have those paintings in, and it's the Blanding, Utah church. My sister-in-law's dad was the stake president or the bishop, and he insisted that they keep that when they took over so they still have it.
Inside the chapel, we have a lot of paintings in the hallway, in the Relief Society room and so forth in the Rock Church, but the paintings that were back at the podium, the big ones of Christ, were taken down to Canaryville, and they're in the old chapel that's now the city office building in Canaryville.
It's the painting, not that I'm done, it's the painting that Covington painted.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the Last Supper.
Well, Covington did the murals in the St. George Temple, the reconstruction of those murals in 1976, I guess it was, when the temple was reconditioned.
He did
There,
that.
what?
He did 2 paintings there in the South Ward Chapel,
Yeah, he did.
and they're down in the museum down there.
And the North Ward Chapel.
Yeah, they're in the old library, the old Carnegie Library. That's the Hurricane Museum now. Yeah, Bob.
I think most everybody knows this, but this Bryce is the same guy that the Bryce Canyon was
Yeah,
named
Bryce
after.
Canyon is named for Ebenezer Bryce.
Yeah.
So how was he connected to Brian? How was he connected to that chapel over there?
To Bryce, he was the one that discovered it. He discovered this valley, and he discovered Bryce Canyon.
Which did he live in? The longest and stayed in?
He was over in Garfield County longer than here. When he rode up on Bryce Canyon and looked off, he said, "Looks like a hell of a place to lose a cow." When we were on our third mission at the Church History Library, the secretary to the mission presidency was Jackie. Well, anyway, she became a really good friend, and my friend Dean Anderson's wife passed away, and we introduced Jackie to Dean, and they got married. But Ebenezer Bryce was her great-grandfather.
Well, we used to come up here a lot with my cousins, and their grandma and grandpa lived in that house right up there. And we had lots of slumber parties at the old house.
Well, when I was in 4-H, we used to come up every summer for our 4-H camp up in the, and my dad was a school teacher, and so I remember one summer he came up here and worked at Pine Valley, and some of you may remember the cabins they used to have that were up this canyon, and I guess I was probably 7 or 8 years old. Anyway, we came up and stayed in those cabins. I think that was the first time I ever saw a rattlesnake.
What's your take on all the people that have moved in recently? They call it Pine Mountain instead of Pine Valley.
Well, but that's because a lot of those people live on the mountain. Yeah, my wife passed away. It'll be 10 years ago in October, and the past 9 years, I occasionally see one of my classmates. We're both widowed, and we go to dinner maybe once a month or every 2 months. And if there's a good movie, we go to a movie once in a while. But she has a cabin up this canyon over here, and you can't believe the number of cabins that are up there. Originally, hers was way to the end of the street. They built way beyond where her cabin is, so yeah, they're way up on the mountain. This used to be good deer hunting, and that canyon over here particularly. You can't deer hunt up there anymore.
Oh, Lloyd Canyon, right?
Did somebody come?
Yeah.
The wife's opening it.
What?
His wife went to open it, I think.
Oh.
So we're gonna go.
Well, they had the gates locked when we arrived. I think we could have gotten over that fence.
Oh, yeah.
We who?
Well,
There's a bug in your pocket.
well, I went to college on a track scholarship. Ted Spilsbury came to my mother's home, and he saw my picture on the wall, he said, is that your son? And she said, yes. And he said, well, he was the famous high jumper. I held the region record in Region 8. And I won the conference championship at Dixie. And
How high?
well, I went 6'1.5" in high school, 6'5" at Dixie. I set the indoor record at Utah State at 6'6", and I went 6'8" outside. But anyway, Ted asked if I could still high jump. He saw me I went to a viewing in St. George, and he asked if I could still high jump, and I said, no, I can't clear my throat.
Well, here about 10 years ago, we watched a boy that we know from down to Hurricane, 7 feet 2 inches in high school.
Yeah, I know. These kids
that
with the
something?
Fosbury flop, but that's illegal.
Ken was a high jumper in high school.
Yeah.
First name
college, too.
Bob. This is Brother Bob Hanson here from Pine Valley, and he's graciously accepted the invitation to come down and open this building for us. So we appreciate him very much. So thank you. So Kendall has given us a history of the building, and I don't know if there's anything you want to add when we get in there, but
yeah, what we do, we have a little video that's about 12 minutes long that the MacArthurs put together, and it explains the history and of the pioneers actually coming to the Dixie, and then up from there up to here, and then to be able to take in some of the pictures and everything else, which was awfully hard to be able to take in and find in the 1800s. And so that they did a super job. And after this video, we'll explain a little bit about the workings of the chapel, and then we'll take you on a little tour.
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Everybody can take and climb Pioneer Stairs, right?
Would you describe them to us?
They're about this wide, and they're about this high.
Is there rails?
You're not taking us into the attic.
Let's just leave our chairs here.
Well,
Let's leave them here, and then we'll get them on the way out.
good idea.
So we'll take care of the chairs in a few minutes. Bob, throw the microphone in there.
Well, so there's a boy my age,